Welcome back, everybody, wherever and wherever you're watching out there in YouTube land. I'm back with my with another video. This time showing what I got last week. You could say, last I went to the shop on Friday because the comics actually arrived on Thursday, so not on Wednesday. And they usually have the comics ready in the afternoon, so I really can go that late. They have around 5 or 6 in the evening, in the afternoon. So it's like a 2 hour trip that I usually take, and it's been raining in the afternoons a lot, so I just prefer going a day or two after. But I'm just decided to just go at the day after the comics arrive, because after the little incident with me missing Justice League Dark, because I went 2 days later, and the fact that Trinity War is, definitely catching on, um, I decided no, I'm going to go back the following day. I decided to actually, I usually did that, but after a few incidents where in my smaller shop the comics weren't ready or hadn't arrived, that meant a double trip. So I going to two shops in one day is a lot better for me. So well, I decided to go back and make sure that I don't miss a single issue, because that book's not in my pool, and there are a few books that aren't in my pool that I really don't want to miss. Um, but before I show the books, and I will try to make this a very quick video, because this is like, I believe, my sixth try doing this. I started last night, and the video was running too long. I was showing too much stuff. I started to just talk and talk and talk, and without making much sense, and I was just getting very very tired. I'll just try to do go as fast as I can. I didn't get a lot of books, and there are definitely some stuff for mentioning in the books that I've got, and I just don't want to make it too long. And I would also like to apologize to the great legend R.E95, because yesterday, after I posted a comment on his Comic Book Friday video, he thanked me for it, and I replied back, just with a simple "You're welcome." But something happened. The comment wasn't posting, and I think it's been happening to a few people, where they get like a little red band that says it's an error. Please try again, which I did, and the comment polished itself but 5 or 6 times. So it was my intention to have to spam the comments. Um, you know, so it wasn't intentional, just something that happened because of YouTube. I thought it was really an error from my very temperamental internet connection, but it seems it's been happening to a few people who are having problems posting their comments. So I mean to have that be a repeated message reply. Okay, so before I show the books, um, I would like to do something different and show something different, that I actually like to collect as well. And this was a bit inspired by Hippie's collectibles. Uh, if you watched, he did a few weeks back or a few days back, he did a video where he asked people to ask him one question. and he would do a video with the answers, and he had to actually make three separate post three separate videos, so they wouldn't be one long video. And someone asked him about his like top 5 top 10 movies, and he gave a list of his, I think it was like his top 5 classic movies. And the number one film he put not in the list that he mentioned is also a favorite one of my favorite movies, which is Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. Uh, and I just want to show this 2-disc special edition, which comes in a slipcase, and I actually just paid for this thing probably around last year when I bought it, about 45 pesos, which is somewhere around maybe $5 or $6 for it. It was in the cheap, but I mean, so I really got a good deal. It's got this thing here, it's got it's a nice little commentary, the slipcase. This is the movie, this is a movie, and this is the movie here, and this is a documentary on the behind the scenes of Citizen Kane. And I actually watched this movie a while back, actually. Maybe on TV, I think they were running it, and I love this movie. I mean, it's one of the best movies ever in the history of movies. And it ranks so high because Wells just revolutionized filmmaking with the movie. Because he was a theater actor in New York. He did radio. I mean, if you like all time radio, he played the Shadow for a few seasons on the radio. He actually, he had the Mercury Theater on the Air, very famous for War of the Worlds, which is what actually got him the job or gave him the opportunity to go to Hollywood and work for RKO Pictures and make his own movie. He actually brought the entire cast of the Mercury Theater. So, a lot of these people that acted here, became great actors, became Hollywood legends, like Joseph Cotton and Ray Collins, Axis Muirhead, all these people that made movies for the rest of their career. They actually got it because of got the opportunity because of Wells and Citizen Kane. So yeah, I mean, it's a very impressive movie. The makeup, Wells actually filmed the whole movie behind the backs of RKO's directors. Nobody knew what he was doing. And no, of course, there's a controversy that occurred because of William Randolph Hearst, and they were trying to not have it released. But that documentary that is in the movie itself, that comes in the second disc, this one, the documentary, actually examines a bit of what went to the story. While a lot of it was about Hearst, there were a lot of parts that were very autobiographical for Wells himself. You know, he mixed part of his life with Hearst's life, and completely created something that might you know resemble Hearst, but was a totally original character. So yeah, yep, one of my favorites. Another favorite movie of mine is The Maltese Falcon. In fact, I have a ton of classic movies. I love collecting classic movies, and if you watch my last video, my grandfather got me interested in that. When I was a teenager, I used to watch all movies on TV with him, and I got to know a lot of see a lot of great movies, and know a lot of great actors. Okay, so moving on to the mid of the video. So this is what I picked up, on Friday. First up, Action Comics number 23. I've actually been enjoying this sort of, I guess, feeling arc between, by Lobdell. In fact, you could say it actually really plays on, or actually last issue kind of played on, or continued that story that's been going on in the Superman books, but now this is a completely different story, and it does follow up the issue number 24, uh, as it was mentioned in the editorial note from last issue. That way, it kind of gives a bit of a leeway for this adventure without interfering with the with what's going on in the Superman book. So there's this character, this villain called the Lexus, which kind of reminds me a bit of Galactus, because the character, this villain, actually consumed the planets, to exist. But unlike Galactus, who does it because it's his nature, this Lexus character did it out of pure evil, and sort of like magical as well. Um, it's a fun little story, I guess. The one that actually kind of seemed like a bit of a disappointment was the World of Krypton backup. It started interesting, but since last week's annually kind of died down a bit. But all we get is like a little adventure with Jor-El and Lara. We actually get to see General Zod. I'm not sure if it's Zod's first appearance. I think he might have showed up earlier in Morrison's action, but at least this is the first chronological appearance of Zod before he was in general, before he went all bad guy. Next up, Green Lantern number 23. As it says, without a ring, without a chance, which doesn't summarize the entire issue. Actually, just this sort of something similar happened around for a page at the very end. But it's sort of eye-catching. That's what covers should do, to be eye-catching, that you interested in what's going on inside. So this is a very good issue as well. Kind of well, I wouldn't say slow, because it's not slow, but it does seem kind of like a bit of a filler before the big Green Lantern event in October. but it was still entertaining. I'm really liking Vendetti's run so far, and you know, he's doing his own thing, but he's really building up on or continuing on with where Geoff Johns left the books at the end of his run, which is great because I usually don't like when you sweep one run ends and the new one begins, and the new writer sort of either the previous writer closes the whole thing in to a point where it's like his run is ended and it got a close ending, and then just leaving way a new a slate blank for the new writer to come in. This did not happen with this series. In fact, Geoff Johns left a certain status quo change at the end of his run, and while Vendetti and the new writers are building new stuff, they're actually just following through with where the previous run left off. So that's very cool. Because it's kind of frustrating. You forget new writers come and everything that happened for you just forget get gets forgotten. Finally, for the books this week, Green Arrow number 23, and I'm liking what Jeff Lemire is doing. It's definitely taken the book to a whole new level. I don't mind the earlier issues; they were fine. I'm fine with those. Um, but with Lemire and Sorrentino, I mean, the book has definitely you know become something that pops within the landscape of, I guess, the big companies. There are a few books that do that. I've heard that Hawkeye does that as well. That's completely different type of book for Marvel. It just kind of has to stand out in the crowd. But usually books like that kind of get left behind with the big events, and that's a big problem for Marvel right now. They have all these X-Men books, all these Avenger books, and some other books are being left behind. But with DC, I found that every book is important, and Green Arrow has definitely has is out there. You have a really great writer working on it. The art is like I say, it just different, and it pops and it adds a different type of storytelling. I mean, just look at this at, at these pages, which is which are totally amazing. The layouts are you know some do fall into the traditional page layout, but it's the coloring as well that also adds to the book. It's just good story with good art mixed with you know some extraordinary coloring. I mean, just look at this. The way some of the layouts sort of look like arrowheads. Um, really. So yeah, definitely a very highly recommended book. Now, I would like to kind of address something that actually has bothered me about the current story or the upcoming story. And yesterday, yeah, I was Oddfellow Thoughts. Travis, he posted in Twitter, commenting on the on this series, uh, and I decided to add my 2 cents to the conversation, uh, because I wasn't very, very sure about the new take on Richard Dragon. And of course, this being the new 52, you know, um, makeovers are a dime a dozen, I guess. So I don't really mind, the new look for the character. But what I do mind, what has me very uneasy, very uncertain about this new take is he a good guy or a bad guy? Because right now, with his two previous appearances, this is his second appearance. His first one was last issue. He does act a lot more like a bad guy. He's going after, you know, criminals. But when you have a guy named Richard Dragon throwing a guy off a building, you know, like here, and he says he's just come to take all of Seattle. You're thinking this guy is a bad guy, and that's the thing that bothers me quite a bit. If he's a guy named Richard Dragon, I think he should be a good guy, a hero, and not some generic uh, martial arts type criminal. So that's what kind of is bugging me a lot more than his new look or anything. So I really want to know where they're going. I mean, I'm interested to know where they're going with the character, definitely. But um, at this point in time, I'm not feeling very you know um, sure or very calm or reassured that it's gonna be a good thing. Because I just wouldn't like to see a character like Richard Dragon just become a bad guy, a villain. But it seems like it's going that way, and so I'm wrong about it. And he does seem a bit generic in the fact that he's like a martial arts guy. It's a criminal. Just seems like you've seen that been done before. So I hope I hope I'm wrong and it's something completely different. Finally, and I actually mentioned this as well. This is a sort of like a back issue, I guess. Um, I mentioned that I got this next book for a really good price. Um, and it's a variant, and I usually don't like buying variant covers because I'm just overpaying for a different cover. The story inside is the same, the ads are the same, it's got everything inside. The story is the same, just a different cover. So I've always found buying variants, you know, sort of like a useless type of thing, like it's comic book companies appealing to, I guess, a collector market, and it's pandering. It also kind of serves dealers to get to overprice a comic book just because the covers are rare. But there have been covers that I've seen, variants that I've seen that I liked, and I wish I actually bought them because they're just that good, and not just a different image or whatever of uh, or whatever, just something that really stands out above the crowd. And I haven't really seen many covers like that, variants that catch my attention. But um, I have gotten a few variants. I showed a variant of by Michael Turner, I think it was, yeah, by Michael Turner, of Superman. I believe was 205, but I think that was like a 50-50 variant. Um, because I actually got that from my shop, you know, and I actually have never, I believe I actually seen the regular one by Jim Lee. But I think that was a 50-50 thing. I've got like a Daredevil variant as well, but again, I got that, at cover price from my shop, so I guess it was, sort of, various variant covers that Marvel put out that weren't, in a 1 to 75 or in a 125 ratio from what you get. The only variant I've actually ever paid about a lot would be for Justice League of America Volume 2, Number 1, which I think that's also a Michael Turner variant, if I'm not mistaken, um, which I got for about $10 when it came out back in, yeah, it was around 2006, I believe it came out. So that was around $10 that I actually got that variant for. Uh, because the regular number one wasn't there, and I thought, well, what the hell, I wanna get this book, and I got that variant. That's the only variant that I actually ever paid for. That was bit beyond what I was willing to pay for a book. But I've seen other variants. The variant for Superman, Batman number 8, the first appearance of the new take on Supergirl, the modern version of Supergirl, uh, that was done by Jeff Loeb and Michael Turner. The Silver Age, the variant was an homage to Action Comics number 252, and I really like that cover, but I never bought it. I've seen it a couple of times, but I would, if I see it again, I would probably buy it because it's just very cute little homage. But with the 75th anniversary variants that they did for Superman Unchained, I really like the Golden Age variant that was done by Dave Johnson. And I'll explain why, and as soon as I show it. Uh, but I mentioned it before. In my in my larger shop, they had it. They had it for about 580 pesos, which was around somewhere around the $30 mark, maybe higher. And that actually, I think I saw in a guide, and actually it goes for about $34. I've seen it in eBay between $24 and $34. And I thought, maybe one of these days I'll get it, but not from eBay, because besides the fact that the price is high, shipping for those people that are selling those variants, their shipping is a little too high for me. So it's just a lot of money I'm not willing to pay for. So 2 weeks ago, I went to my shop, the smaller one. They had it there for a brand for 120 pesos. That's around $8-9. And I thought, now is the time to buy it. I saw it yeah, well, no, actually last week I saw it. Sorry, 2 weeks ago. Last week I saw it. I asked that guy in my shop to hold it for me. I was gonna pick it up, last week or this week, this week that just ended. And he did, and here it is. And this cover just caught my attention, because not only does it do a great homage to the Golden Age, but unlike maybe the other covers that they had, the variants from the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, probably the only ones that probably were that was also a very good cover was probably that one with I think it was by Dan Jorgens. I think when that homage the return of Superman after his death. That was also a very good cover. But this one I actually really liked, because not only does it, like I mean said before, I just said it homaged the era, but this is probably a cover that would have appeared in a Superman book at the time as well. One of those patriotic covers. I mean, it's not hard to imagine, you know, something like this, you know. Um, so, definitely that's what just really caught my attention. It's something that you would have seen at the time. The whole composition of the cover, you know, the the Nazis, throwing in the bomb, Superman stopping it, the soldiers behind. This is definitely a cover you would see between 1942 to 44, 45, and and add the trade dress, which every book has, but it just seems so genuine. This is probably something uh, you look at, and just the image. Take away, this, change maybe the price thing. Show it show the just the cover with the trade dress, and you might come think of it as an actual cover from the era, and that's why I just fell in love with this wonderful cover, and I said, I have to have this book. So yeah, so I finally got it for a really good price, and I'm very happy. I'm not saying that the other covers are bad. I mean, I know Art already bought the 1 in 100 1930 Superman by Bruce Timm, but just didn't that cover. I saw all the variant online, and that cover just it just didn't feel. It felt like a nice homage to the Europe, but you know I think this cover sort of stands out as not just being an homage, but being seeming being feeling as an authentic Golden Age cover. And I would like to show this one again in Action Comics number 328. Yeah, I showed it when I unboxed it, and I'm just impressed with. I just love what got a really great deal on this book, and I actually wanted to mention a couple of things about it that I didn't mention when I showed it in the unboxing. And well, that's the who did what. Um, the cover, of course, is by Kurt Swan with things by George Klein. The inside, both the Superman and the Supergirl story are both written by Leo Dorfman. I think that's his name. The Superman art was done by Al Plastino, who still, by the way, he's still alive. He's like the last golden age, silver age, or 1940s, 50s silver age artist that's still alive. And when I found out that he was still living, I was amazed. And I think it's over 90 now. And he actually has a website. He where you see some of his Superman stuff that he did. There's a video where a video interview he did several years ago where he tells the story of how he became a comic book artist, how he got into drawing Superman, and Interestingly enough, he did it for the money. He actually, heard he was doing, all this publicity art, you know, sort of like what is known as commercial. Even, comic book art is commercial as well. But, that's how they distinguished, uh, you know, advertising art. And he heard that DC was hiring artists for Superman, and that DC was paying very good money for to artists, good page rate. Uh, so he did a sample of Superman art. He went to DC. Uh, he got hired, but they were offering him less money than what he heard. And he said, "No, I heard that you're paying a higher rate, a higher, and I think I like half between what the heard they pay and the he had a good deal out of DC for doing Superman. And throughout the years that he did Superman, he just saw it, as a job. He didn't read, comic books, and it just makes me think that a lot of artists from, like the golden age, most of them didn't read comic books. I mean, most of them invented the medium, um, but for most of them, it was just a way of earning a living, and wasn't about so much about being recognized as creators or being recognized artists. Just a way to pay the bills. So I just find that very, very interesting. The Supergirl art was done by later Supergirl artist Jim Mooney, and yeah, I'm very, very happy got this as well. And this week was very good when it came to getting a few really nice deals comic book wise. So one more thing before I go. I try to be brief with this. It's been on my mind for a while, and that has to do with next month and Villains Month. And unlike most people, I did not go to my shop and save a number of books that I wanted to get. I'm actually just gonna see what I can get. Uh, because if I did order the books that I wanted, uh, you know, it would be a lot of money for me to spend on comic books for a month, even for a week, because these books are coming out weekly. Uh, and so I'm just going to buy whatever I can get my hands on. And now that DC is offering the 299 2D covers, I think I might just stick with the 2D covers uh, of these books and not go for the 299 gimmick cover. It's a cool idea that they wanted to do this, but the fact that there's a very high demand for the 3D covers, and they decided to go for regular 299 2D covers. For me, it's just perfect. That way, I won't be spending as much money. If I can get a few 3Ds, I'll get those 3Ds. If I only get like 2D covers, I'll be happy with the 2D covers. If I get a mix of both, it's just the same. I really don't care too much about the cover. About the cover, like I mentioned before, I'm not a cover guy, or a guy who, or a type of person who would just go for the gimmick and spend lots of money on that. Uh, uh, Obviously, I wasn't gonna be picking up the 16 Batman books because I don't really read Batman, and I'm not too invested in the Batman characters. I like Batman, but it's just not a book I read regularly. Just a lot of Batman books alone. So I'm just gonna stick with the books that are part of my regular run. If if they all sell out and I can't find a lot of the books that I want, but probably either save money or get some back issues or try something different, because I do want to try something different, have a tight budget, I guess. So, will I'll surprise you to see what I got. In fact, the guy at my smaller shop has not mentioned anything about the Villain Man thing. So I'm thinking that maybe I'll be getting at least my Superman books. I'll be getting my Superman villain books and my Green Lantern books and my Green Arrow books as part of my regular pool. I'm not sure, um, but I'll see what I can get, and I also have to ask my guy at my shop, and I'll do it with a smaller shop, um, to get my Forever Evil. I did not add that to my pull list, and I'm very interested in what's gonna go down with Forever Evil. And after the spoiler of who the villains are, I'm twice as interested in that. And so next week is gonna be, or this week is gonna be very light actually for me. Uh, Nothing that I buy is coming out. Not even Superman Unchained number 3 is not listed. What is listed is Justice League of America. So I think it's issue 7. So that's probably the only book I might get, and maybe a back issue or two. So I'm going a little bit long now. So until next time, keep smiling.